Hello and welcome to the British Sitcom History Podcast. We are here after our main series to tie up a few loose ends. Isn't that right, Gareth?
Hola! Yes, we are. We are going to be looking at the film version of Are You Being Served?
We often do this. Back in the 70s particularly, there was a spate of film spin-offs of TV series of varying quality. Although mostly at the lower end of the quality scale. Yeah, mostly poor.
And this is funny because we sort of joke, don't we, that, the setup for the film is, well, they just all go on holiday. And it's a joke because it happens to be true in many cases, and it happens to be true in this case. So this is, what if the staff of Grace Brothers, but they went on holiday?
But even that alone and culturally is quite interesting because it was the 70s and like those international package holidays were becoming a real thing. It was a relatable thing that people
it is interesting.
Without
wanting to jump ahead, there's a whole scene in the airport where Mr. Granger's confused because he's never been in an airport before. He thinks it's like a train. What platform's the aeroplane at? And I think that was probably, it's very of its time. Like, that wouldn't work as observational humour now. But I guess in the 70s, a lot of people hadn't been in an airport.
Yeah. And so just to give a bit of background on this, like most of these, it's basically a production company comes along and says, oh, we'll do a film of that. Here's some money. And the writers go, yeah, cheers. and that's it. And it's always disconnected from the actual production.
Are we saying that it's non-canon? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, there's nothing in this that doesn't kind of tally with what we know in the same way, like On the Buses goes on complete different,
I guess it does. It resets at the end like any good sitcom episode. Although in the later series of Are You Being Served, of course, there's no mention of the post-traumatic stress that might have been caused by being in a gunfight. But I guess something you don't need to see everything.
So it was EMI Productions. They'd already done some other sitcom films, but it was an easy way of knocking something out relatively cheap, and you've got an audience. Like, the audience is already there.
If you think about financial risk of making a film, you've got 20 million people watching it every week. A good proportion of those are going to turn up and pay their, 4 shillings or whatever.
Yeah. And this is post-decimalisation.
I know, it's post-decimalisation. Shut your face.
So we've seen different approaches to this making a film version. Rising Damp, for example, was just a few episodes slapped together. Yeah. We've seen Porridge was an entirely new film production. But always, because the writers are used to writing in half-hour sections, it always ends up feeling a little bit episodic, doesn't it?
Yeah, we've seen that before.
In this case, this is all new material, or kind of. There's definitely some repeated gags, but, it's a new story.
Prop comedy. They all get dressed up in costumes, but apart from that, it's completely original.
Yeah, but as original as Are You Being Served ever gets. Yeah. But yeah, it's a new script, basically. But it's based on a stage play. So the year before this, they did the summer season at Blackpool. And this was the script. Or rather, there was a stage version. This is adapted from that.
Okay, hang on a sec. So you mentioned this when we talked in the main episode about Are You Being Served? The summer season. So I just assumed that was a way of all the cast making a bit of money. But is that, what's the word? I want to use canon again. Is that a sort of official licensed product?
Yeah, I mean, written by Croft and Lloyd and kind of put out there, but in a similar way to the film, probably it's not, the BBC aren't producing it, so it would be a different production. But
do the BBC don't get any money for that, or any? Do they have any licensing rights, anything like that?
I don't know. They must have some sort of rights to it or something. Maybe we're just getting a little something.
They must be getting a bit of Mrs. Slocum's back end. Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure of all that. They must have some sort of ownership of the rights. But obviously David Croft and Jeremy Lloyd own these characters and can take them off and do what they want with them because they're doing this. And so, yeah, the summer season was a great way of, you do the, 8 weeks, during the summer, July and August, at Blackpool or whatever, loads of tourists, they come in, you're doing the show every night. And it's the equivalent of Panto, right? It's like, it's your big money maker for the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's bread and butter for these guys, the actors particularly. You do Panto, you do summer season, 6 weeks filming, you can buy a house in London. It's great,
Yeah.
So the film production was based on the script from the stage play, Which so I'm not 100% sure how much David Croft and Jeremy Lloyd they're the only credited writers. Whether they really kind of like, oh yeah, give us a couple of weeks, we'll tool this up for screen rather than stage. Because I mean, apart from anything else, the film's an hour and a half. A stage play is presumably with an interval. You want your halves of about an hour. It's going to be an hour 40 to 2 hours, something like that. And things work totally differently on stage. However, it does explain something. When I first watched this film, and I hadn't really looked into the background of it, my thought was, this is so static. It's like the reason you take your people on holiday is to go big. And then we're just on a small set in the hotel. And it's so stagey. And it's like, okay, that makes perfect sense. This is
because it was stagey. Yeah. What I thought you were going to say there, Alan, was that it takes them quite a long time to get on holiday. There's a whole first act where they're just in the shop doing their usual Grace Brothers shtick, and I didn't time it, but that feels like the first half-hour episode.
It's exactly what it is. It's the first act, and then you drop the curtain, and you have to do a major scene change in the background. Get Arthur English out doing a song, a bit of front of cloth or something, while they change the scenery. He's probably doing old Cockney knees up, and then
I love it when you talk theatre, front of cloth.
Do you know what I mean? Interestingly, though, you were saying about is this canon, the stage plays and stuff. Like the Dad's Army did a whole stage show, but it was like a musical review. There was loads of numbers in, and I think that was fairly de rigueur of the thing. You put a couple of musical numbers in, especially when you've got these old school performers who all can sing.
Arthur English can knock a tune out.
My guess is that there was something like that in the stage play, and I don't really know. But obviously it's not. It was obviously not incorporated into the story. They were probably just like, oh, and now John Inman, ladies and gentlemen, and he comes out and sings Elton John or something.
Is that what he did, Elton John? You're working that up, aren't you?
It's just,
you have me on.
No, I don't know. But I'm not sure the details of all that. But the basic story structure that we get is here on film. Now, they brought in a director who is not one of the TV guys, because the TV directors were in a different union. They could never... It was always awkward, getting them to do the films. So, and it is a different film language, really.
It is. It's a different vibe, which you notice especially in that first act where they're in the shop, where the contrast is quite striking. Yeah.
The director they've got is Bob Kellett, who specialised in this sort of thing, like crap 70s, slightly naughty comedies. In fact, this is very tame compared to some of his
Maybe it says
stuff.
that on his gravestone.
Yeah. But if you think... So I'll give you he made a couple of Frankie Howard films. He did Up Pompeii, the film, for example. And he made the Alf Garnett saga. It's the LSD, Alf Garnett on LSD.
That's right.
One.
Yeah. I remember. It was the sex comedy.
Well, exactly. There you go. So that's kind of what Bob Kellett specialised in. They've brought him in for this. And I did notice, actually, compared to some of those 70s film spin-off versions that we've seen already, like Steptoe and Son, this is the same level. They're not... We have not got any gratuitous boobadoos seeing, because you can't show them. You can't show boobadoos on television, but you can on film.
We have to explain this.
What? I think it's clear what I'm talking about.
Well, because when we go to Spain, Andrew Sachs, and he's obviously Spanish, so clearly that's obviously typecast, and they refer to breasts as boobidoos, which I think is that Spanish? Or is it Catalan?
I think it might be Catalan. But yeah, in Steptoe and Son, we get a stripper. We get a bit of naughtiness. In On the Buses, we got a woman running around with the breasts out within 45 seconds of the film starting. So they've obviously made a decision here, and perhaps this is.
Can we stick to boobidoos?
I think David Croft is a little bit classier than that, and I think he's...
Is he?
Which is what I think...
Is that what you think?
Yeah.
You think the man who has been repeatedly visiting Mrs. Slocum's pussy for laughs is a bit more classy than that?
Yeah, I do. So anyway, I think, first off, the film is entirely in keeping with the series in terms of its tone and style, and all that. Yeah. So in that way, I would say a good adaptation. However, that's not all it takes.
Well, I challenge that a little bit. I kind of get what you're saying, but the nature of the fact it is on film rather than being filmed in front of a studio audience, it feels very different. Like I said, a different vibe. It just feels different in tone.
Yeah. I mean, I heard an interview with John Inman who said, like, we've tried all this material out on stage, we know it works.
But that's a good example because John Inman, his whole shtick is he'll say something that's either an innuendo or not really an innuendo but said in the same tone as an innuendo, and the whole audience goes wild laughing, and he pulls his little face, and then we move on. Whereas now, there's silence, he pulls his little face, and you're like, did that work? I'm not really sure that worked. And it does just take away from it.
If you were in a packed cinema in 1977 watching this film, would it work?
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and I think that is part of it. You are deliberately leaving kind of pauses for laughter in a way. Good point. And that's difficult.
That's a good point. This is not designed to be watched on DVD or streaming or whatever. It is designed for a packed cinema. It's a very good point, Alan.
But I will say one of my major issues with the whole film is pacing. It just feels really slow. Yeah. And I'll come into more details about that. But let's jump in at the beginning. We start off at the Grace Brothers store, or rather one that looks very similar to the Grace Brothers store that we know, but not quite the same.
Everything's had an upgrade. So there's like nice oak paneling. It's all very nice in the shop. But also, the theme tune's a bit funky, isn't it? It's got a sort of wah-wah pedal on the guitar.
You got to funk up the theme tune.
Well, it's 1977. So what, is Shaft coming down the lift? So literally, these are the first notes I made. The theme tune is too funky. The colour's a bit much. The voices sound wrong because the sound is too good, and there's no laughter. So that is four things that are simply a result of we've spent a bit more money on this, and I didn't like them.
The medium is different, and it just makes things feel a little bit. Yeah, the voice, even the voices, the timbre of the voices, just is slightly
it's just better recording. It's better sound quality, but I don't like it, Alan. I don't like it.
My first note is 2 minutes 10 seconds in, we get our first pussy reference.
Would you mind holding my pussy? Did she have a cat with her?
Does it matter?
Well, that's what I've written it down. I've written it down. Would you mind holding my pussy? And now, 48 hours after watching it, I'm reading that thinking, did she actually have a cat? I don't remember seeing a cat.
Because she's boarding her pussy
because they go on holiday. So she's
going to get it pampered. So, yeah. And I did also note that within 3 minutes, we'd seen the underwear of both the principal female characters.
Yes, we had.
So that's about as naughty as it gets.
Well, we've seen Mrs. Slocum's Union Jack bloomers. It was. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. It didn't turn me on.
You're a jaded man, Gareth.
Actually, do you know what? It's a good bit of foreshadowing that in the end because those Union Jack bloomers come back later. So I was quite
exactly.
I rolled my eyes, but then an hour and a half later, I was like, "Oh, very good, David Croft."
I will say that was not so bad. We also get the classic crap display unit, in this case of an inflatable bra, which also comes back later on. So I was actually quite impressed, frankly, that pays off.
You know what?
In the way
that's fair, because my notes here, the same as the bloomers, are all a bit derogatory and, oh God, we're just going through the motions. But yes, they were plot relevant.
And the plot is borrowed from an episode of the show, where basically the store needs to be closed for refurbishment. And so rather than let everyone have time off when they're getting paid, they have to convince all the staff in the department store to take their official holiday in this 2 weeks. How do you do that? You bribe them and say, look, we'll give you a package holiday. You can go on this package holiday and then we'll all do it. Free holiday, and everyone's like, all right, fair enough. Now, this is something that explored in a TV episode, but if I remember correctly, as far as it goes in that, obviously they don't go on holiday, but as far as it goes in that is like they're looking at all the options of holidays, and that's kind of where they find comedy.
And they get to dress up.
But the concept of it had been kind of used before, and they'd obviously gone, oh, we can do more with that. Let's build that up a bit.
There's an interesting bit of context here because, like you said, the Grace brothers want everyone to take the same holiday, so they bribe them so that they will. I think that's very of its time. We've talked about worker relations and that, because I think if this happened now, they'd just tell everyone, these are 2 weeks holiday, tough shit. Like, the pendulum has swung so far the other way now. There would be no debate there.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the TV series episode where they do it, there's like a whole thing where like Grace brothers have a package holiday arm, with, you go into Grace Brothers Hotel in Spain or whatever it was. So like it was all kind of tied into that, so they could do it on the cheap. We don't quite have that here. They're just going on a package holiday somewhere. The different departments are going to different places. There's some sort of convoluted nonsense to get Mr. Harmon in the background for the whole thing. But like basically everyone's going, including Mr. Rumbold, who is management and wouldn't
but he's going along
consult
anyway
with these plebs.
Actually, before we move through this, we get to see another department, don't we, in Grace Brothers? We never normally see any other areas of the store. But apparently Grace Brothers department store has a hair salon.
Oh, yes.
So Mr. Humphries is having his hair done by a hairdresser who is even more camp than Mr. Humphries, which is quite extraordinary.
Do you know what? It's interesting because this is a man, obviously, the hairdresser is a man who's playing a camp hairdresser. Whereas John Inman, that's pretty much just how he is in his real life. He is a camp man. And so I think that's what really helps sell Mr. Humphries as a likeable character that doesn't feel too offensive, like looking back 50 years later. Uh-huh. Whereas I think if you got Trevor Bannister playing Mr. Humphries or whatever, which I'm sure he could do, like he could camp it up and play a silly comedy camp character, it would feel like a man playing a silly comedy camp character. Yes. As opposed to John Inman, who is just a bit more naturally sort of bent towards that.
Do you know what you're talking about here? You're talking about the issue of camp face. That's what you're talking about.
It's camp face. Yes.
So John Inman doesn't suffer from that. Do you know what? I'm sort of joking, but I'm not really. I think you're dead right. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So what else do we get before we need some more setup? We're going to set up. Mrs. Slocum is definitely going to try and bang Captain Peacock.
Unlikely, isn't it? Like she hates him.
Well, do you know what? When you're talking about the film's canon or whatever, they've obviously gone with this storyline. She's trying to bang Captain Peacock. Captain Peacock's trying to bang Miss Brahms. Now, in the TV show itself, Mrs. Slocum, it does like sometimes when it's kind of plot conducive, they'll go, "Oh yeah. She really fancies Captain Peacock today."
Yeah.
She's just really horny this week, right? For no obvious reason. Oh, okay, Captain Peacock has always got an eye for the younger ladies.
But yeah, so this is the thing. Mrs. Slocum having a little crack at Captain Peacock, whether it's plot likely or not, it feels all right. Like they're a similar age and, that feels acceptable. Whereas Captain Peacock having a crack at Miss Brahms feels sordid. There's an age difference. There's a power imbalance.
Though,
it feels grubby, Alan.
But this is a world where young Mr. Grace has his secretaries. Mr. Rumbold has his young secretary that his wife isn't too sure about. So that is the world we're living in.
Can I just mention young Mr. Grace there? Because we sort of gone past the scene that he was in. I've written down here, he got more lines in this scene than he had in the whole series. Do you know what my criticism is there? I think the actor's doing too good a job. Do you remember when we were talking about this TV series? I said, I'm not sure whether he's doing a really good job of acting, doddery, or he's just a bad actor. Well, now I know he was doing a really good job because in this film, he's doing a bad job. He's too compos mentis.
Ah, yes, and your lot are going to the Costa Blanca, Don Bernardo's palace. There's the tickets. There's the brochure.
Thank you, sir. May I inquire which department is to have the pleasure of your company, sir?
I shall be visiting each one in turn. After that, I shall be hard at it with my new secretary on my yacht in Saint-Tropez.
My note, I said, am I crazy or is Harold Bennett a lot more solid on film? So it's like, is that by virtue of it's not live, he doesn't have to come on and remember his lines, they can just feed them to him one at a time. And so he can just focus on one little thing at a time. I don't know. But yeah, I noticed that as well.
Okay, so before we get off to Spain and the racism kicks in, let's just stick to the Grace Brothers shop and get some good old-fashioned British-based racism in.
Oh, good.
So this is not the most racist characterisation of an Arab that we've ever seen, but it's up there. There's no whoops apocalypse, but in walks Derek Griffiths as the Emir.
Yes, who I believe is originally from Saudi Arabia, Derek Griffiths.
I think he's from Croydon, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, as it goes, I will say, they managed to get through this whole section and the little gag they do without being particularly racist by 70s.
Do you know what? It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. When he came on, my first reaction was, "Oh, this is going to be bad," and then I went, "Oh, that's Derek Griffiths," and then the third reaction was, "Oh, this is going to be bad." But it could have been a lot worse. It wasn't that bad.
This again is a repeat of a bit of material from the TV series in which a Middle Eastern gentleman comes in wanting to deck out clothes for all his wives, and there's like 40 women there or something. But they're not allowed to touch the women, and so that's kind of like this whole thing. I can't remember exactly what but this is a kind of a similar concept, but they go with a different thing. The gag basically is Mr. Humphries can't take his inside leg because he would have to touch the great Emir's flesh, and that wouldn't be allowed. So they have a nice little comedy bit where he puts a balloon up there and sets it off, and it tickles his fancy. We
get to do some good facial acting with Derek Griffiths.
Yeah. It's a
good reaction shot. It's
a fine little comedy bit. It's completely in keeping with Are You Being Served's kind of titillating comedy.
Do you know what, Alan? Do you know what I thought of at this moment? But also, I thought this several times when we were watching the series as well. I thought of Andy Millman in Extras.
yeah, fair enough.
And, you know, Ricky Gervais's impression of a bad sitcom. There was lots of moments where I thought, oh yeah, he's watched this. Ricky Gervais has watched this.
Yeah.
There was a laugh out loud moment for me, just a joke where he said, "Oh, around the waist he's 2 cubits and his inside leg is 1.5 cubits." Trevor Bannister said, "What's cubits?" And John Inman says, "Isn't that the name of the firm that built the M1?" It just made me really laugh.
That's a good. Because that's your niche.
That's such a topical reference. Like, what? That is not a joke that has aged, but really made me laugh.
Okay, here's the thing. The man who plays the interpreter for Derek Griffiths, the fellow Middle Eastern gentleman who was interpreting.
Who was that?
Nadim Sawala.
Oh right, okay. That's the father of the Sawala sisters, right?
That's correct. Yes. And Julia Sawala, for our purposes, of course, much more sitcom heritage.
Time Gentleman Please.
We saw her specifically in Time Gentleman Please, but obviously she's done loads of other stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, he is at least from Jordan originally. I mean, that's
virtually the same.
That is at least in the right area. But yeah, so that was a little appearance from him as well. But that's just a little throwaway bit of material. Here's my thinking as well. I don't know exactly what was in the stage show, but if you've got a load of swarthy gentlemen who are going to play a Spanish revolutionary and a Spanish hotel owner in the second act, get them to play a swarthy Middle Eastern gentleman in the first act.
That is a very good. That is a good observation of someone who has worked in theatre.
That's it. Look, we've hired a man with dark hair and a moustache. Let's use him.
Yeah, let's get our money's worth out of this foreign-looking fella.
So we have a few more kind of bit.
There's more laughs. We're not done yet. There's more laughs. There's inoculation laughs first.
Yes. Which I've never had inoculations to go to Spain, but I guess it was a different time.
No, I looked this up. You did not need inoculations to go to Spain in the 70s at all.
Oh.
It's one of those things, you know, like you might say to someone, "Oh, I've got an appointment in Bradford. Oh, have you had your jabs?" You know, it's like one of those things, "Oh, we're going abroad. You need to have your inoculation." Like, You did not need to have any jabs to go to Spain.
Well, Mrs. Slocum does. And may I say, the syringe that was presented, that I was expecting a huge comedy syringe, and it was just a normal syringe.
Yeah,
so I was a bit disappointed.
Nice to have a bit of verisimilitude in the Grace Brothers studio.
The comedy simply comes from... Obviously, inoculations are always taken in the Aris, so she's going to... The nurse...
In the Aris and in the workplace.
Yeah, straight through your skirt.
Right in Mrs. Slocum's workplace.
She's scared of having injections, so the nurse has to take her by surprise, basically sneaking up behind her, ramming it into her bottom.
The only thing I like about that joke is it's mercifully quick. They don't drag it out.
Yes. But then we get a little setup for Mrs. Slocum needs a photograph for her visa.
A little bit of photo booth comedy.
Relatable.
That is relatable. Younger listeners will not remember before we had smartphones. Whenever you needed a passport photo taken, you had to go and sit in a little box outside Boots. Yeah. And it would take your photos for you.
Well, even now, those boxes, if you've ever been in one recently, they take a picture and then you go, "Are you happy with this?" And if you're not happy, you go, "No, take it again." And you take it again.
It's all digital now, Alan. You're not wasting film, are you?
Exactly. But back in the day, You got 4 pictures. They got taken, and whatever it was is what you got.
That was it. That was your passport for 10 years.
Right, now, here's why this scene doesn't work at all. Apart from
Go
the
on,
obvious.
explain.
When the pictures are taken of her, we get a snapshot, black and white, boom, of the action.
Yeah.
But that is not taken from the perspective of the photo booth camera. It's coming from the camera that we're shooting on. That is so basic. Like, apart from anything else, like it would work. It would be funnier if you cut to a picture of her, like her expression. Like,
Do you know what they could have done? They could have shot the whole scene from the photo booth camera. Like, so they were sort of breaking the fourth wall and looking at us.
That is some avant-garde kind of nonsense you're talking there, Gary. What you
I
think? What you're
apologise.
talking. But it's a bit of physical comedy with Molly Sugden falling off the chair. So I don't know. Again, I think.
Well, physical comedy. You know how I feel about physical comedy, but that whole scene was just left me rolling my eyes. I wasn't enjoying.
But maybe
that.
with an audience there, it would like.
Oh
I can
yeah.
see how that
Oh
would
yeah.
work a
I
lot
can see that
better.
working in at the Blackpool Grand. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more. There's a little bit more physical comedy. There's before we leave the shop.
Oh yeah.
A bit more prop comedy. Mr. Lucas has brought in a set of chattering fake teeth.
Yes.
Which was a comedy staple of the 1970s.
I don't know
Can you remember why he had them? I can't even remember why he had them.
He'd gone to chat up the bird in the toy department, and the supervisor caught him, so he had to pretend to be a customer and buy something.
So he'd bought the teeth, and now you're not allowed chattering teeth on the shop floor. That's
Obviously
explicitly forbidden. So he had to hide them. Where does he hide them, Alan?
In some pants.
In some pants that are on display on a mannequin. In the middle of the
Mannequin's
shop.
trunks, I guess. And like, it's literally like this is silent film comedy because it's all physical. They're kind of
Right, and
everyone's
there's
exploring
like
thing.
there's like ragtime piano going on in the background just to illustrate this is physical comedy. There's no words. There's just music, just like Music Hall, and we all know Music Hall was brilliant. So let's have a bit of physical comedy.
And I mean, I'm all right with it. It works.
I'm not.
It's not particularly funny, but I like as a conceptual thing. I don't know.
Can I tell you what I've written as to whether or not I am all right with it? What I've written here is, this is worse than the First World War. I hated this scene. I hated it.
Wow. Fair enough.
That might be. I will admit that's hyperbole. Nevertheless, I did not enjoy it. Is the point. So the next thing that happens is I hadn't actually realised, but Mr. Granger hadn't been there, so he arrives.
Yeah.
And when he arrived, I was like, oh, right, oh yeah, he's not been there. The second thing I thought was, he looks on the verge of death. He does not look very well. And then I thought, he's probably not going to be in this much. Maybe he's not going to go on holiday with them because he's not very well. But I was wrong. So why the hell hadn't Mr. Granger been around for the first 20 minutes?
I guess you just got to introduce the characters one by one, or you know, like there's so many characters, there's only so much you can do here.
But he could have done so much with the teeth and the music hall comedy.
Well, I think he was in that bit. He just didn't do anything. He was in the background of that. But you are correct that Arthur Bruff was. I think this was the last thing they filmed with him because
That wouldn't surprise me.
This was obviously shot between series.
But he was quite, he's quite involved in the second half when they go abroad. Like, it's not like, say, my thought was, he's obviously not very well. They want him to appear, but he's not going to be a big part of this film.
And bear in mind, if this was written as a stage show, perhaps Arthur Bruff is the one who's going to get the late entry so that he can just have a little sit down before he has to come.
The next scene, the next sequence, he's the main character. We go to the airport, we get on the aeroplane, and the comedy is derived from him being, fish out of water, and he thinks it's like a train station, as I said earlier. But, we get some metal detector laughs.
I like that Mr. Grain just turned up with a plastic bag. That's his luggage. I quite like that. He's got full coat, wool coat, scarf, hat.
Did you notice, Alan, there was a big resonant chime for me that they were flying Dan Air. Have you ever heard of Dan Air?
Hey, I hadn't, and I deliberately looked it up because I was like, what the heck is Dan Air?
That was a big ring in my head because when we went on holiday, when I was little, like in the late 70s, early 80s, Dan Air was the airline. It was like a sort of budget airline before budget airlines were a thing.
Well, I looked it up and kind of found out about it, but it's before my time. They got bought out by British Airways in the early 90s, so that's kind of like why I guess. But I saw that and was like, is this made up for the show? I've never even heard of that. Never mind like
very
recognized
resonant
it.
for me. That interesting.
Yeah, I was wondering about that actually. If you would get that. Yeah. So the bit on the plane and then getting them on the plane at Gatwick and all that is the only thing that was filmed outside of Elstree Studios. This was the only bit of location stuff.
I enjoyed. There was a funny line. Second laugh. Oh my God! Look, they look like ants. They are ants. We haven't taken off yet. I saw that. I saw that joke coming over the horizon, and I welcomed it with open arms. Made me laugh.
Fair enough. We've all got a weakness. Hey, did you notice who was playing the man who with the metal detector at the airport security?
I did not notice.
It wasn't a big role and wasn't particularly played for laughs, so I'm not surprised. But it was Barry Gosney.
Barry Gosney. Okay, that is Uncle Barry from Time Gentlemen Please.
That's correct, yes.
Wow.
Back when he was still sort of made sense. And he's just an occasional actor in things, yeah. Other notable thing here is they're all dressed up for holiday. They're all going, obviously. John Inman turns up last. Now, John Inman always turns up last because...
So he can make an entrance?
He can make a big entrance. Now, often John Inman turns up wearing something a bit silly or outrageous. But here, he's wearing a lady's safari suit.
It's a pink suit.
It's not really playful. He's dressed as if he's like on Dallas or something. He's like a wife of an oligarch in Dallas. And he's just...
Do you know what? I think this is another point where we suffered from not having the audience reaction.
Yeah.
You know, we're so used to Mr. Humphries having a warm hand upon his entrance that we... he just walks in and it's kind of like, oh yeah, there he is in his pink clothes. Because there's no audience reaction.
But yeah, he looks like a middle-aged woman, and it's not like... He doesn't look like a man in drag. He doesn't look like a gay camp man. He looks like a woman.
Yeah.
He looks a lot more like a woman here than later on when he is pretending to be a woman.
Yeah.
I think something's lost in translation here. I mean, he looks fantastic. But he looks he looks like Jackie Onassis.
Is that just your 70s oligarch's wife reference? Because he doesn't look anything like Jackie Onassis, but I love it. I love the reference.
So we do eventually make it to Spain, where we're going to spend the rest of the film.
Yeah,
we're about a third
sort
of the way
end
through.
of Act 1. We're now at Costa Plonka, which we are explicitly saying, and we get a title card on the screen, Costa Plonka.
Do you know, it's Costa Plonka, was that just the standard sitcom name for a Spanish resort? Because I'm sure I've heard that before on like Duty Free and Don't Drink the Water and stuff like that.
Well,
I feel like it hasn't just been made up for this.
Well, do you know what? I've Googled Costa Plonka, and all the results were, "Are you being served?" movie. So no, I don't think so. I think you've just extrapolated it into.
It feels just sitcom
generic
world.
70s racist Spanish name.
Is that where the other one was set? You know, like feels like that was very kind of just what we were doing. Plonka, is that just from plonk? It's like that's your foreign wine.
Well, it's a clever double meaning. So. Because plonk means wine, so it's, you know, you're all going out to Spain to get drunk. But also plonker sounds a bit like a euphemism for a willy.
You plonker.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a little bit on the nose, I think, is a silly name, but let's roll with that. We get to the hotel. Surprisingly little amount of like plane business. They do a bit, but they don't do anything with the little meals you get, or like, oh, I don't know how to put my seatbelt on. Or, oh my God, why is there? I've accidentally released the emergency chute thing.
Yeah, you're right. There's a rich vein there, which is absolutely not mine. So they arrive at the hotel, which is very obviously a studio. And it's called... So this... What I'm about to say is not funny. It's called the Don Bernardo Palace Hotel. And I'm like, well, what's that? That's not funny. You've gone Costa Plonka. You've gone all in with the racist funniness. Well, why are we not giving it a... Why are we not calling it Hotel Bastardos or something?
That's a good one.
That's not an original Gareth Allen. Our listeners, bonus points if you know where I got Hotel Bastardos from.
And again, when they arrive, they get hassled by like a Spanish street trader who's trying to sell them beads and things. And
that was interesting actually, because it's just they're being hassled, and you know John Inman buys some stuff, but I thought that's going to come back, isn't it? That's going to be we're going to have more with that character. No, nothing.
No,
doesn't come back at all.
Exactly. I was slightly confused by that. I wonder if that's left over from something else or something, or I don't know. There was something a bit odd about that. It didn't work, did it? But then we get into the hotel. There's some Germans there. We set that up, and that doesn't really go anywhere.
That doesn't really go anywhere. It's referred back to once, but I thought the Germans are going to be the bad guys. That's going to be the conflict here. No, nothing.
Yeah, very odd. But they are the only other people at the hotel, which is apparently full. But they're the only extras in the background. Don't expect too much background movement. We get the hotel manager, of course, as you said, Andrew Sachs.
Yeah, let's talk about Andrew Sachs, because this is literally the only other thing I've ever seen him in. It wasn't Fawlty Towers, but he's playing a hotel manager. So,
this is a year after Fawlty Towers went out, 2 years after. So
the
he's
first
well
series,
established.
In between the first and second series, right?
Yeah. So Andrew Sachs is Manuel in the eyes of the public. Spanish hotel manager. He can do the voice.
Done well.
But yeah, totally different character really in terms of what he's doing. But he's doing the voice. There has been a hilarious cock-up at the hotel. The booking has been made for the Grace brothers. 2 brothers, 1 room.
Oh no.
Yeah. But don't worry, Manuel is going to sort it out.
They have spare penthouses.
Penthouses, yes. Now that obviously means penthouse, Gareth. And everyone loves a penthouse. We all know it's the best.
To be fair,
room.
if you said penthouse in a Spanish accent, I would think you meant penthouse.
Exactly.
I would definitely not think you meant tent, which is what he means.
Okay, so they get directed to the penthouse, and it turns out they're tents.
Tenty houses.
And then he goes, "Oh yeah, sorry, I always get my P's and T's mixed up. I mean tenty houses." Now let's just break this down on the different levels why this doesn't work as a joke, right? First of all, P and T are not things that you get mixed up as a foreign speaker. It's not a classic thing. Like even as a stereotype
shift.
Nonsense, it's not.
There's no
linguistic
shift that has led to that one being confused with the other.
Here's another thing. At no point ever in the history of humanity has a tent been referred to as a tent house.
A tenty house.
Yeah, it's not a thing. And it's just nonsense. And
my theory is that this is just deliberate bad customer service by the manager.
Oh,
he's trying to head off. He knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He knows exactly what he's saying. And he's maybe a little bit distracted because he thinks that Mrs. Slocum's a drag artist with false booby-doos.
Yes. Okay, actually, that makes me feel a lot better. Yeah, that he is just surreptitiously scamming them.
Yeah.
That does make me feel better about it as a gag, yes. But there's a bit of back and forth. Basically, they're going to have to sleep in the tents for one night until their rooms are ready. They just kind of go, okay, fine, let's just lump it. We'll do it. We've got a tent each, which just means you've got a row of tents on your set. Do you know what? I never got a good sense of geography of this set. Like, we never got a good wide shot to establish, like, oh yeah, this is where the tents are, this is where the restaurant is.
The tents seem to be just in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah.
Next to the bar.
And it matters later on when they're being shot at and stuff. And like, I just never had much of a sense of where they were, where anybody else was.
Actually, you know what? We should probably introduce some of our other Spanish characters. So we've talked here about, I'm going to call him Manuel because what the hell does it matter? Andrew Sachs' character is the manager of the hotel. We meet Conchita, who is sexy. She's the maid / whatever, pretty woman.
Yeah.
We get to see her bum, which is nice. Olay on the knickers.
Well, as is sort of traditional with Are You Being Served, this is a young woman who's been drafted in to play a bit of eye candy, and not hired for her acting abilities. Let's say that. I actually looked her up. She's called Karen David, and I thought, I wonder if she's done anything else. Yeah, not that much, not really anything significant. But here's the interesting fact I found out about. Apparently, she was married to Roger Kitter.
Roger Kitter from Allo Allo, the Italian.
Yeah, he took over. He was the second Captain Bertorelli when the LOLO was sort of falling apart in the last couple of series. So she was married to him, apparently. That was the only kind of interesting sitcom relevant thing I could find about it.
Oh, fine. We'll take that. So we also meet Cesar, who is apparently a terrorist.
Is it the Spanish Civil War or something going on?
Well, right. So this is 1977. This set. Well, I guess it was made in 1977. I can't imagine it was many months in the production, so I'm going to assume it was made in 1977. So Franco, the Spanish Civil War in the 30s had been won by Franco and the fascists, and he only died in November 1975, so he wasn't long dead. And we know now, looking back, that democratization happened and King Juan Carlos came in and they had elections and we have a constitutional monarchy in much the same way as the UK. But actually, 18 months on from Franco's death, I don't think that was set in stone, That was happening, but with hindsight, we know it worked. But it might not have. You probably had all these factions who were fighting and, looking out for their own interests. So I thought it was quite interesting as a social observation, which I'd just not considered. When this first happened, I was like, oh, God, this is ridiculous. And then, you think about it for a minute. I was like, okay, this...
very topical, yeah.
Unlikely as it may be, it would probably have been something that was on the minds of people considering a holiday to Spain.
Yeah. I do think that was exactly what they're playing into here. And we get this Cesar. I don't think we ever get much of a context of whose side we're on or what's...
I don't think it matters. I don't think you want to get into that too much. But he's swarthy. He's got a moustache. He's looming. He's glowering. And he likes booby-doos.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. And that will become relevant later.
So Manuel, the hotel manager, is kind of caught in the middle of this. They're obviously old compatriots, but he doesn't really want to be involved. But Cesar is insisting that he kind of houses him for the night. And there is more than a hint of hello in this little bit. This little,
that's a good point, actually. That's a really good point. It's Michelle of the Resistance, isn't it?
Because he's just like, oh, I don't want to get involved, but okay, I'm trying to play both sides.
Alan, you've absolutely nailed it. This is a prototype hello.
Yeah. What we establish here is that Cesar is going to stay the night before attempting a military coup of some kind the following day. And in the meantime, he wants to sexually.
Well, if you're staying, if you're going to stay tonight, would you like to rape one of our guests?
Yeah, that is. I mean, that without really any exaggeration, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, Manuel gives him a woman.
Well, Mrs. Slocum.
Hey, it's a real woman. Just because Manuel thinks. Actually, is Manuel setting Cesar up there for a bit of a surprise?
At this point, he thinks Mrs. Slocum is a man in drag with the fake booby-doos. I'm not sure. He's not convinced, is he?
I don't think any of that matters.
But the reason they all want Mrs. Slocum is because they've seen a picture of her in which she kind of put her face through a hole and with a picture of a novelty picture with a sexy woman's body. So they're all like, oh yeah, nice body, shame about the boat race, but let's have a bit of that. So
that's your words. I feel like I need to tell the listeners
in Spanish.
That is not in the script of this film. That's Alan who just said that. Shame about the boat race. Honestly.
Okay, so that's setting that up for some evening shenanigans. And then we go to they're having dinner in the grounds of the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
They can't handle the filthy foreign food. Which is at least relatable in some way. So Manuel says, "Oh, British food, yeah, okay, egg, chips, and beans all round." Nice, classic stuff.
That's good stuff.
We don't get a lot of comedy from the foreign food, but it's
well, I'll tell you what, we do get some very good physical. Well, when I say very good, I mean very poor physical comedy from is Manuel pouring the wine.
Yeah.
So he pours the wine out one of those little spouty things. I'm sure there's a proper name for them.
Spain.
Where and everyone's just watching this water flow. Well, this wine flow, and it goes on for far too long. But as you know, whenever you hear flowing water, you need a wee, right?
No,
it's
true.
I mean that is a trope. I understand that it is a trope, but it's not true. Like if I could hear a tap running now, it's not going to make me want to wee. Having a full bladder makes me want to wee.
It always gets me whenever I brush my teeth and the water's running. It does get me. So I don't know.
Am I the odd one here?
You've got a sturdy bladder.
Oh, that's not true. Anyway, the point is that we get another. It's not quite the chattering teeth in Grace Brothers, but we get this long sequence where they're all sort of staring at the water and crossing their legs and sucking their bottom lips and, oh, I need a wee. Lots of physical comedy, lots of using their acting. It's appalling.
Just too long, and a quick little gag is fine. And basically, like from here on out, It's the pace that kills me. There's basically everything we're doing from now, and there's notes getting passed around. There's misunderstandings. We're going to tents, different tents. It's all getting. It's complete farce. It is stage-based farce. Brilliant. It needs to be twice as fast. The pacing is so far off. And I guess if you're on stage, you have an audience or whatever. It just goes with the flow, and maybe it works better. But here in the edit, it's just so slow, and it's like it kills me. Like the first half of the film is like, is that how you're being served? That's fine. And the second half just completely kills it dead.
Yeah, so there's. I'm please spare us. We let's not go through all the tent hopping and who thinks who is who and the mistaken identity. But it basically ends up with Cesar. He thinks that Mr. Humphreys is the sexy woman with the booby-doos. Mm-hmm. Mr. Humphreys is in the tent, worried that he's going to get found out that he's a man, so he puts Mrs. Slocum's clothes on, so he looks like a woman.
An inflatable brassiere.
He puts the inflatable brassiere on from earlier. Very good reference, very good callback. And then he legs it. And now we get literal circus music as Cesar the rapist chases Mr. Humphreys with a knife.
It's like a slightly hardcore Benny Hill.
Yeah, but he's actually got a knife. He's threatening to kill her, if he doesn't have sex with him.
Yeah.
And in the background it's... Cesar is coming.
The payoff of this is that basically Mrs. Slocum turns up. Cesar doesn't realise that that's a different person, just thinks, oh, Mrs. Slocum, and then they go and have sex on the beach.
Yeah, Mrs. Slocum has sex with the rapist.
Because she's banged.
Consents. Why not? So everyone's happy in the end. No crime is committed.
There is a bit of business with what I'm going to call a caterpillar.
Oh, mate, that is such a bad prop, isn't it? There's a caterpillar inside Wendy Richards' tent, and it is the worst prop I've ever seen.
It is awful, isn't it? Even as, like, conceptually what it's supposed to be, you're doing it as a joke, I don't know. Like, okay, look, you're in a foreign land, there's a giant insect thing. Okay, but it looks bad and it moves badly, and it's just so we can go, oh, look, there's a big hairy thing prodding at me.
It's not just so that it goes up Mr. Lucas's leg at some point as well, which is much hilarity ensues.
Yeah, there's a whole thing with that. And then you've got Conchita. She's trying to she's trying to get Mr. Humphreys to save her because Manuel the manager is going to rape her, and she knows that's going to happen tonight.
He's removed the bolt from her door,
which is what she's been using to save her innocence. So she's asking Mr. Humphreys to help her. Fair enough. She sees Mr. Humphreys as a safe man. Yeah. That I can see that. But then also when she's trying to convince him to help her, she does it by sort of seductively touching him up and kind of. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure where she's trying to play that. All. I'm not sure if the writers know what they're doing with this.
I have one other note on Conchita. She sounds like Lorraine Chase. Again, this is not an Oscar performance. She's like doing the Spanish accent, but keeps going in Essex.
Oh, senor, please say yes.
Give us a kiss, then.
Oh, you beautiful man.
No. You dear. You know, love. No, that was the night porter.
I see you in your tent tonight. Bye.
Yes, he has got a very high-pitched voice. He used to be a bullfighter, but he got caught in the corridas.
Oh, so next we get the terrorists are actually trying to take the hotel. Not exactly sure why this is a military target, but the terrorists, who are mercifully off-screen because we couldn't afford any extras, the terrorists are shooting at the hotel. So our heroes are now under fire, literally under fire. They're cowering behind pillars and the bar.
We do get an extra couple of terrorists just as extras, and one of them has a line, and it's Ricardo Montes.
Who's that?
Off of Mind Your Language. He's the Spanish bloke in Mind Your Language. Yeah. So he gets a line.
Obviously. At least is he actually Spanish?
Yeah. I think he's the only person in Mind Your Language who is actually correctly cast.
He's the only Spanish person in the whole of the UK at that time, so he got the roles.
So now we have our plucky heroes trapped, in a gunfight, and they figure out, quite rightly, that if they just tell everyone that they're British,
they'll be safe.
They'll go, fair enough, you just step away, this has nothing to do with you.
How are you going to tell everyone that you're British, though? You're under fire. How do you signal to the outside world that there are British people here?
What about a jug-eared man in a bowler hat?
That could work. That could work. Or
we need a flag.
Call back. Guess who's got a big pair of Union Jack bloomers?
Well, I'll tell you who hasn't got them, Mrs. Slocum, because they've gone mysteriously missing overnight. So she no longer has her bloomers. They have to fall back on a very British man in a bowler hat. That doesn't work. Then there's a giant balloon attached to the hotel that they're going to use that to fly a sign.
I'd checked out by now.
Yeah. There's a line that I really liked in here that almost kind of became a little bit too self-referential, but I liked it. Where Mr. Granger says, when they're talking about this plan, he says, "This is the kind of thing that made Britain great. Stupid, but great." We're slightly puncturing the ridiculousness of the situation here.
Yeah. So then it seems that the terrorist attack is foiled by the arrival of... Is it a British tank in the Costa
It's a
Blanca?
tank. Who knows?
I guess it's reasonably could have Well, young Mr. Grace is in the tank, of course. So maybe he's commandeered a local tank. I don't know. He's a man of good resources.
The idea was that young Mr. Grace was on his way from the airport just to check in on them. He couldn't get a taxi, so he commandeered a tank and has smashed through the wall. I don't know. Don't try and make sense of it.
It's not an outcome that holds up to scrutiny.
It's a real Deus Ex Machina ending. It's like God comes along and says, "All right, that's the end. Cheers."
We had set up in the opening scene that young Mr. Grace would come and visit at some point, but I had totally forgotten that an hour later.
Hey, one more little observation that I had. Mm-hmm. Did you notice that Mr. Lucas, when he's in holiday mode, he's wearing a medallion, and it's a big gold capital D for Dick?
Of course. Nice callback. Yes.
So there you go.
I've got one other note here, which is Flandersization.
Oh yeah.
So I think this is always a problem in the movies. They're doing the hits, and I think it can become a bit of a problem. And I am unanimous in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that noise that you just made is the noise I made both times. Yeah.
Twice they use the unanimous gag, and then Mr. Lucas says it as well, as a sort of take the mick kind of way.
Yeah, that doesn't make it all right.
There's 2 gratuitous pussy references.
Have you got a tally there?
I only got two Mrs.
What I would like to know, and I don't know the answer to this, is how many Mr. Humphreys lines there were that were a double entendre or meant to be, followed up by a face pull. Like it must be 20 plus.
One thing we haven't quite mentioned is that Mr. Harmon is there at the hotel the whole time, just to kind of rub their faces in it. He's paid the VIP supplement, and he's going by the name of Lord Rothmere or something like that. So
the Earl of Harmon. He's the Earl of Harmon.
Right, is that what he was? Yeah. So he's getting the best treatment, and also he looked after Conchita, so she's taking care of him. I think that's quite a nice, just dropping him in. Here's a gag. Here's a gag. He's getting, and just to highlight just how crap they're having it. I think that works.
He's literally on the balcony of his suite, looking down at them in their tenty houses.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's the film. What's your overall kind of vibe on it?
Overall, it were crap, but you know, it was all right. I mean, it wasn't any good really, but I think, to put it in context, if you were a fan of the show, you watched the show every week when it went out, this would be a nice thing to go to the cinema to watch. Like, I think it works on that level. It would have been a success. I think it suffers, as we've discussed, from not having that studio audience. The pacing is all over the place. I don't like those little musical, physical comedy music hall sequences. But it's all right. I don't know what to tell you, Alan. It's all right.
Yeah, I guess I'm in the same place. The second half really kills it for me. I think I'm on board with you. It's like, it's all right. It's just an episode of I Being Served. But the pacing of all the farce stuff, which makes sense. It's a stage show. Let's throw some farce in. I bet it works much better, that context. And it just doesn't work here. It's
a really good observation, that, Alan. You know, when you, I hadn't thought about that, but when you said that, that would work a lot better on stage, definitely.
Yeah. Even putting a laugh track on this would probably make it flow a bit better. But yeah,
I think so.
It just feels so slow, and it's like so obvious everything that's going to happen. And so yeah, it's pretty rough by the end of it. But I do think it's a decent adaptation of the show. I think if you like the show, you'll like the film. You know what I mean? It's in that sense, it feels fitting. It's just not very slick.
Yeah.
And so that's the film. And do you know what? Right, the film came along right when Are You Being Served was kind of at its peak, sort of series 5. But it's also the start of the downhill slope.
Yeah.
So it would have actually been great to do those series, wham out a massive film that was great and like tied it all together, and then you just leave it alone. that would have been a lovely end to that.
And also, you're saying that with hindsight. You know, they didn't think it was going to go downhill from here. You know, nobody carries on thinking that.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. And Arthur Brough was obviously not in the next series. He died, and then Mr. Lucas leaves, Trevor Bannister leaves. It just starts to slowly fall apart. That's the nature of these things if you're going to run for 10 years. You just have to take the rough with the smooth, I think. But I think the film comes along just at the right time. We get all our original cast, and it's kind of solid. And it does what it does.
Well, thanks everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this journey into celluloid once more. You can find us on the social media. We're on Facebook, British Sitcom History Podcast, or on Instagram at BritCompod. And if you have been listening to this as a podcast, you can see it with some clips and some visuals on YouTube, so you can go and visit our page there. But thank you everyone for listening. We've got a few more bonus episodes coming, and then we'll be back with our next series later this year. Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.